Okay, I am here today with our new friend in the community, and I've been over to Farmer in the Larder, and I've interviewed Matthew Rayford, and I spoke with Hafran from Iceland. Have you met Hafran in the community yet, Jeff?
Not that I can remember now.
I will send him
I
your
have
way.
to.
He's an
Okay.
extremely nice guy. And I've done an interview with a couple other places, including Island Pho, or Pho, as we must call it. But I'm here with you today because I've distributed to the students some teas that you recommended, and I wanted to have you introduce yourself so people get to know you a little better and your store, and then we can talk about these cool teas you asked us to drink.
Okay. Well, I'm Jeff Switzer. I'm the owner of Island Natural Market. We are here on St. Simon's, and we're a traditional health food store.
Yes.
Think of it like a Whole Foods or an Earth Fare, but on a small scale. We try to service the community with healthy options versus the traditional offerings at a grocery store.
Okay, awesome. How long have you been here? And
I moved here 13 years ago to open a business, and so our goal was to provide the healthier options and to help people solve their own dilemmas about what should I be doing maybe to improve my health, or if you have an existing condition, maybe we can provide reference and information to help you make your own choice to better whatever that situation is. And if we don't know, we'll maybe deal with local doctors in the community or look up different books or resources to kind of help you educate yourself to maybe tackle some things, or just things that are just healthy in your mind, say as a food choice or as a tea choice.
okay, awesome. So here we have our segue to teas. I appreciate that. I was just speaking with Jeff about the boxes of teas that you can see here. If I get a little closer, there are a lot of boxes, and I know that this is part marketing, but also part because of what's inside the box is a tea recipe. But a lot of psychological wording such as stress relief and a relaxed mind, blues away. So maybe you could talk to us a little bit about the cool teas that you recommended for us tonight. And if you are at home right now with your tea, you can begin to start sipping it at home. And Jeff, why don't you tell us about these neat holy basil teas?
Well, in general, teas are commonly used for many things, but in the situation that this section is set up as, I tried to choose teas that would either have some sort of structure and function to them. Being, say, for example, most people are familiar with green tea, and you hear a lot of benefits associated with it. Cancer fighting, digestive health, the list goes on for that. So a lot of people are familiar with that, but then there's a wide variety of other things too, that different herbs or different teas that are common or maybe uncommon can have some function. A couple of examples, maybe ginger. People think about ginger in their food, but at the same time it has a function with digestive health.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives you the segue kind of into basil, holy basil.
Yes. Tell us about holy basil, and maybe its connection to, we have a global component to the class, so you have a global tea that you recommended to me. So tell us about that a little bit.
Herbs come from all over the world, and be it Asia is a very popular place for a lot of different herbs, and this holy basil is a particular variety of basil, not sweet basil that we're used to in the West, but this is a different type of basil that's used in Ayurvedic medicine. It's an Indian type of medicine. And people use holy basil in the western side, which is becoming more popular for a lot of different things revolving around stress,
Yes.
both physical stress, adrenal stress,
Yes.
and emotional stress. One of the good things about basil is safe to take and very well tolerated by most anyone.
Okay.
Limited side effects.
All right. Awesome. Well, I did, because I did give out the tea, look up on Medline or MedMD just to be responsible about it. And it didn't say anything. It just kind of said, the usual, like, this stuff is good for you, and but we don't know about women who are pregnant, because you can't do those experiments, so it's nothing to do with the product. Can you talk to the students a little bit about what the flavoring that they're getting as they drink this tea? Is this a westernized tongue flavoring, or is this a more of an Eastern flavor?
I'm not a gourmet myself, but in my opinion, it's a very smooth, light
Okay.
flavor.
All right.
Some people may feel, I guess it's like wine. Everyone has a different opinion about wine. You could drink a $100 bottle of wine and people may not like it, or you
Right.
might drink a $5 bottle of wine and some people might like it. It
Mhm.
really depends on flavor profile. I view it as a very calm tea to the tongue, and I think that's my opinion about it. There is a spice note to it, and I think, which one did we give again?
We
Was
got,
it
I
the
just
plain
held
one?
them, the rose and the
Okay.
ginger I chose.
Okay, so the basil itself is calm, but the ones that you chose, that has one of them has the ginger and lemon. So you're going to get a combination of smooth,
Yes.
but at the same time you're going to get the spicy notes from
Okay.
the ginger. So the ginger provides it with a complement, really, since holy basil has a lot of anti-inflammatory effects.
Yes.
And digestive effects. The ginger, which is kind of spicy, adding to the calmness, actually helps with digestive health too. So that's a good option. And the other was the rose, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. Since holy basil itself is a very calm herb on the tongue, the rose just gives it that light, sweet flavor. And rose is also associated with calming.
I think that the holy basil that I read, as you mentioned, with the anti-inflammatory, this is becoming a very large part of, I think, more traditional medicines about related to inflammation causing certain types of bodily responses, in particular blood vessels perhaps to be growing in places they shouldn't, that can cause problems like anything from psoriasis to maybe some cancers even. Is that also what you're familiar with?
Well, the holy basil for Western medicine now is becoming more popular with inflammation because as the U.S. population ages, we're looking for to improve our diet to be less inflammatory, and also if there's an existing condition, say osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis or some sort of injury that causes chronic inflammation, customers are looking for safe options to kind of calm that inflammation down. And holy basil and ginger too are good choices. Teas are safe. They are very effective. Sometimes if the pain is aggressive, an extract version of the tea, which is basically a much stronger form of it, can be taken in a pill form, which will have a greater impact on inflammation. It just depends on what the customer wants and what their needs are.
All right, well, this has been really helpful to us, and I want to encourage my students to drink their teas that they're sipping now listening to you talk, and to think about these health benefits, but also kind of the psychological impact of something flavored rose, which might be relaxing, as you said, and then the lemon and the ginger, having components and even flavor and maybe smell components that tell the brain that something positive is happening to it. That's why I also really love teas, because they work in such a holistic way, and so much more messaging to the brain about that something therapeutic or beneficial is happening to you. And I really think that does make a difference in humans.
Aroma, if you think about it, it's not just smell, they're fine molecular particles of the actual substance itself. So they're very minute, and they go through the respiratory tract, they go in the lungs, and they go into the bloodstream.
Right.
So it's no different than ingesting it. It's just in a much, much smaller scale.
And one that you can repeat numerous times, like a cup of tea once a day or so, and to maintain that benefit perhaps.
And so when you smell and drink, you're getting it from two different, digestively and through the respiratory tract.
That's really awesome.
So that's why aromatherapy is so popular, which you can get holy basil in aromatherapy forms, which are the volatile oils from the plant are concentrated so you can smell, not to eat, but to smell. And so it can complement another way to use holy basil.
That's awesome. I think myself, and I've spoke to my class a little bit about my growing awareness, talking to people like yourself and reading more and taking Tai Chi classes, the thoughts about your brain recording information that you are just giving to it, and making interpretations about what kind of care that this particular body requires or is asking for. And I think our brains do, in fact, rise to the occasion more than we've ever believed before. But you knew that 13 or plus years ago, I'm sure.
Well, I like holy basil too, that it calms the brain. It's a calmative too. A lot of customers use it for, say, a lot of stress and mental stress, not only physical stress. And it's quite often used to calm the brain, to relax. I think I read once that holy basil is used in India for traditional medicine, maybe as enlightening or for improving spirituality. So I think there may be some spiritual components on a traditional scale in India that step away from what we're talking about with inflammation or
Right.
stress or adrenal health, even though there's a different component traditionally, which is interesting to look into too.
Well, I'm going to say thank you, and we feel enlightened, and we're drinking enlightenment tea, so it doesn't really get any better than that. I'll encourage my students to come down and say hi and get a smoothie and to talk more about you, about their interest in this field. And I want to thank you very much for today. That was so nice of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.